Welcome to By the Numbers. That's right, it's no longer going to be beta by the numbers because the beta is almost done. I'm FM Tahiti and this is the start-ish of Season 2 with Belfast Celtics. In the last couple of videos, getting towards the end of the very first season whilst we're in beta, and it was all played before the final beta update. It was all in beta, hence the name. And I sort of got to a point where I thought, well, I could carry on. And if I'd have carried on playing, recording, I would have been probably halfway through the second season. But I thought with us being at a kind of pause point, and with the beta actually not being too far away from ending, I thought I'll just pause for a bit, have a read around, have a think, and then come back when the full game is released. And then go from there. So I want to show you a couple of things. So if you notice at the bottom of the screen, it probably still says this is a beta version, and FM20 is hidden behind the spreadsheet I want to show you, because obviously I love spreadsheets, and if you don't, then you're going to find this one a little bit more boring than normal. But technically, because it's the 18th, the beta's still going on. I'm not going to play any matches, I just want to show you a few things. Then when we come back for a match in the second half, maybe, that'll be on the 19th, so I'll give myself a bit of a break and then come back and play the very first live game of Season 2, or it won't be the actual first competitive game. I'll show you about that in a second. So what I've got here is a spreadsheet, so you can see I'm using OpenOffice Calc because I refuse to pay for Excel on my home PC, for the moment, at the very least. Does everything I need it to do. What we've got here is something called Total Shots Rate, or TSR. And I've been reading the book recently. I might pop a link up to it, called The Expected Goal Philosophy by Jordan Trippett or something, or Jordan Tippett. It's quite a short book actually, about 9-10 chapters. Fairly easy to follow. If you're interested in expected goals and the history of it, it's quite a good read. And one of the things they mention in there is, because obviously we've been doing expected goals, or our version of expected goals, previously this season, and I've written an article on Dictate the Game about it. But one of the things the author mentions in that book is something called this total shot rate. And total shot rate is basically the shots that a team has, so the shots for, divided by shots for plus the shots against. And this gives essentially a ratio of shots for each team that will add up to 1. So for example, if there was a match between Team A and Team B, one team might end up with a total shots rate of 0.6, the other one would have a total shot rate of 0.4. Because of the way this formula works, you can try it out yourself if you've got some data from a few of your matches. It's a fairly easy one to sort out. It's shots for divided by shots for plus shots against. You can get all of this pretty much from the basic match stats screen. And this is something I started to do for some of the match days for the teams in our division. So I've only got this one here to show you. And basically what was mentioned in this book is that this is the kind of precursor to expected goals. And one of the things people found was, if you use the total shots rate, the higher your total shots rate, the more points you would predict a team to actually get, or more points a team would actually have by the end of the season if you weren't doing it sort of predictively. And generally they found something like, in the Premier League, for example, if a side had above 0.52 for their shots rate, then they wouldn't be relegated. There was no team ever relegated with a shots rate of 0.52 or more. And they also found, so I could be butchering the stats for this, but they also found that there was only one team to ever get in the top 4 with a shots rate of less than 0.54, and that was when Everton managed to sneak in. So generally, they found this kind of correlated reasonably well with the kind of final position of a team. But this just takes into account all of the shots. It's not looking at the quality of the shot like XG looks at. But obviously for FM20, XG is actually quite hard to pull out. It takes a lot of effort. So one of the things I want to do is kind of take this kind of stat and see if this measure kind of correlates to our measure of expected goals. So does this predict the expected goals reasonably well? And does it also predict the amount of points a team ends up with at the end of the season? Because if it does, if it is particularly predictive of where a team finishes or how many points they get or of XG in general, then I can probably save myself a bit of time by just using this. Because it's fairly easy to kind of work out. Now, I created a few different versions. So the shots, the kind of basic one, TSR, shots for and shots against, that's all you need. And then I've got one for target, which is shots for on target against shots against on target. So getting rid of the kind of wide shots, just looking at the ones that are actual direct threats, see if you get a different value for that. And then shots in the box against shots in the box against, essentially, to see if, maybe it's the ones that are closer that are going to be more predictive. So 3 different flavors of the same basic idea. And you can see when you do it match by match, you get these different values. So Distillery, for example, Distillery played Turbomore, just to show you how it works. So they played Turbomore. So Distillery had 1 shot for and 38 shots against. And Distillery lost, that's why they're in this kind of pink colour and Turbomore in the blue. They had 1 shot on target, and they had 19 shots on target against. They got 1 shot in the box, so their 1 shot they did have was in the box, and on target, they had 22 shots in the box against them. So they got a TSR, an overall of 0.03, whereas Turbomore got that 0.97, and they won. It doesn't get much different when you look at the target or in the box. The highest they get is like 0.05 compared to 0.95. And you can do that for all of these kind of combinations, and do it if you want for every single match day and just fill in this sheet all the way down. I started doing that, and then I realised FM it has many problems with data. One of the problems it has is that halfway through a season it kind of flicks over, and the data, the in-depth data that you need from like the team view that we use when you go into a match and look at the team bit where the shots were and things like that we use for XG, they don't exist anymore. They get wiped out and you just have the basic match stats. So I only had half a season's worth of data to go through, so I thought actually I'll not bother, partly because it's still in the beta, so these values might change a bit, and I've not got enough data. What I did do was try and do a final table version instead. So in this sheet, ignore this match day 1 bit because that's not true. What I did was I put down the position of each team. So Distillery won, then Turbomore in second, and so on. How many points they got. And then I took their overall shots for on target and shots against on target. And I had to use on target rather than just generally because how I got the data out. So the shots on target bit, this is really easy to get out of the stats. If you go to the team detailed stats for a league, it tells you how many shots the team had, how many are on target, what was the conversion rate as a percentage for on target shots. Really easy to get that out. The shots against is really difficult. There's no shots against stat that I could find. I had a chat with a few people like FM Vars about it, and we couldn't see where there would be this kind of stat. Like, there's no doubt the game can record it, but it doesn't seem to be anywhere. The best you can do is have a look at each individual keeper for each team, and then look at how many shots they have parried, tipped, held, how many they've conceded as well, because if they've conceded it, it'll count as a shot. And I guess also how many penalties saved and how many penalties conceded will also count as shots for that. You have to do that for every keeper in every team, and then you can work out how many shots that were on target were faced, because if they had to save them, then they were on target. It doesn't tell you how many shots overall happen, because a shot that misses isn't recorded anywhere in that kind of player data. So I had to go for kind of shots on target as this one, which we could see from the previous tab. It's not that much different. Same principle. So I went through all this for all the teams. It didn't actually take too long. There are a few issues. So these ones that are in yellow, these are ones that have had a bit of guessing added to them, because their keeper or their main keeper was sold halfway through the season. And when, again, they're sold halfway through the season, their detailed match stats for the previous team, like parried, tipped, and so on, disappear, which is really useful. And what I wanted to do is see, well, from this, do you get this clear kind of correlation? that's going on. Does total shots predict either position or does it predict points? So this graph here is for position, 0 to 12, and this is the total shot, the target shot ratio that we've got going up here. And actually, what you find is you get this kind of cluster here. There's not a clear relationship. Basically, most teams are getting around this. There's no particular pattern we'd expect. If there was a relationship, what we'd expect is there to be this kind of downward slope just here, going from left to the bottom right. That would suggest higher position, higher total shot ratio. When we do it for points, it's the same thing. It's kind of clustered. And I think part of this is because this data is not accurate, and this is one season from one division. So one of the things I'm going to do, so this is a really long-winded way, I'm really sorry, really long-winded way of saying I'm going to record this as we go through the season. I'm going to do my best to record all of these kind of stats so I can see whether this works. It's going to take a season's worth of data, and I'm going to see if I can do that. So that's one of the things I'm going to look at. And hopefully, if I click off this, yep, hopefully we're just recording the other screen now, so I can carry on. There's a few other stats I want to include. So as you notice, we're 2 games into this season already. So what happened was I started playing before I realised I wanted to change. So we lost to PSNI in the Bet McLean Cup. Then we drew to Dollingstown 0-0, drew to Banbridge, and then beat Bourneview in the Steels and Sons Cup. So nothing too hectic. But I realised around at this point that our results aren't terrible. But maybe I'll wait until the full version comes out and we can have another stab at getting our long ball working properly and effectively with the new players we've got and things like that. So that's why we're at this situation. So our first match back will be against Almar. One of the things I wanted to show you, there's some stats I wanted to include again that aren't necessarily most obvious. If you go to analysis and then players, yep, so under possession, you've got 2. You've got gained possession, lost possession, and touches. What I want to take a bit more of a kind of closer look at is the kind of gained possession bit. Let's clear all that actually. So I want to see where my players are actually getting the ball back. You know, where are they challenging for it? So I could use the kind of heat map almost like that to see, you know, who's doing what where. So I can see already we're not picking up the ball much here. We're not picking up much down this side either, where we've got the kind of attacking winger. But I wanted to use that to kind of see where we're pressing for the ball, where we're getting it back. But I also wanted to use the opposite as well, see where we're losing it and who's losing it. And this is the thing, I want to look at who's losing it and where, so I can see where the weak links are. So for example, Mark Mitchell is either, depending on which tactic we're playing, he's playing in the box-to-box midfielder role or the deep-lying playmaker role. And in this match, for example, he gained possession 4 times but lost it 12 times. Took a lot of touches as well, but we're not too bothered about that. But what I want to do again is record all of this match by match. And again, I don't think this appears on the squad views. If it does, I'll use the squad view instead of this view. But I want to see who's turning the ball over well and retaining it well. So I can use this to inform who I'm going to keep on. Because if I want to keep getting the ball back from the opposition, if I want to keep turning the ball over so I can attack them with my long ball style, I need to see which players are doing this, who's gaining possession a lot. I also want to see who's losing it a lot, who's being kind of wasteful with it. So for example, this is probably worrying, the 3 highest for losing possession are all defenders. A right back, a left back and a centre back. That's not great. That means they're dwelling on the ball too much potentially. So these are the kind of things I'm also going to be checking. So I'm going to add more stats. I'm going to try and do it game by game. So I've got a big data set at the end. So I'll stop shooting you off about that now. In a second or two for you guys, for a day it'll be for me, we're going to come back and we're going to play the Armagh match. And now I've bored you with all the stats, we can get back with the actual playing of the match. Because it's time. The game's been released. It's What is it? 19th? Yeah, 19th. Because it released there. So we can play our first game. Let's see, no beta down here. It's just the actual game. I can't even remember if in the past videos I showed you which players we brought in on transfer, so I'll do that now. We brought in Curtis Dempster from Brantwood, one of the non-league teams, who's rated quite highly, even though his attributes don't suggest he's amazing, but he can head the ball, and he's 6'1", so he's a bit taller than some of them. Dare Rooney, who is on, obviously that's not how you say his name, but he's on far too much for his appearance. His appearance fee's like 200 and something. He's draining cash from us, but he looks like he should be really good. So if he's really good, he's worth it. If he's not, we can get rid of him. Then we have John Mallett, so another striker. He can head, he can finish. He's not the tallest, but he's got good off the ball. His physicals are okay. And then Andrew Fox, who's another striker, but he's going to be in our reserves for a bit. He's just a backup. And basically, Mallett and Fox are on about £20 per appearance, and Rooney's on 250. So if Rooney's not much better than these two, we'll get rid of Rooney. Or strikers, because we need to convert more of our chances. We had very few on-target shots compared to others. If you go back to the start of the video and you see our comparison with everyone else for the number of shots we had, we were very, very low down. So we were good defensively, we just weren't great going forwards. Hopefully they'll make a difference. Because we've got the new match engine, which we didn't have in any of the previous videos, we didn't even have the kind of beta update to it. I've gone back to the standards, partly suggested 442, so go back to cautious for the moment. Got slightly higher tempo, obviously very direct. Gone back to kicking to the target man. We're regrouping. We're not going to counter press or anything like that currently. Higher line of engagement and standard line of defence to keep them pushed up. I should hopefully do the trick. The rest of the instructions are as they were before. I'm hoping that'll make a difference. We'll bring on Rooney for Mallett. Mallett can come off of Hughes there. Don't think there's anything else we're going to do there for that one. See how we do. I have no idea whether the tactic's going to be amazing or not, so it might take us a few games to tweak it, and it's quite possible we'll get horribly sacked or something like that if we've got a really bad start, but we're not doing too badly in the league. We've got a couple of draws, so I think we would get relegated or anything like that based on the team we've got, but we've not managed to keep hold of all our amazing players either. Clark at right back. Because I think Connor, our amazing right back from last season, got poached from us in the off season. So he only played a few games for us, and then he's got stolen away. I'll show you at the end of the game what happened to him. I can't remember if I mentioned it in one of the other videos, but he got nicked. Went to a non-league team. I think he went to Coag United probably. Gets a reasonable long through ball. Rooney's not a great finisher apparently. But a reasonable ball through, productive. Give it that. McManus is already injured. I wish we had Lamb back on the right. Much better. Passing around. Okay, so it's release day. There is a bug in new games that were started on the updated version of the beta as well, where players who didn't have a set value for certain mental and hidden attributes. Oh, did he finish that? Made that look easy, didn't he? That beats the trap. That was poor keeping. Yes, there's a bug where things like determination, versatility, consistency, big match are all like 1 or 2. They're really low, much lower than they actually should be. Oh, Wilson almost. But this is only affecting it's only affecting new saves and players where they've got this missing already, because normally the game kind of automatically fills it in based on their sort of current ability and potential ability. It works out what value to give the missing value, so researchers don't have to put them all in. But it's not affecting new gens. It's not affecting this Belfast save because we started at the very first version of the beta, so we're fine. But also it's not going to affect my Tahiti save, which I started editing because all the players in there will be new gens. So it's perfect for us in terms of that. It doesn't matter. But it looks like the Sports Interactive are trying to get it fixed today. So the very day of official release, they're trying to get it fixed. So I imagine it'll be done by the time I finish recording, actually. Definitely be done by the time this video's out, which won't be until Friday probably. What are you doing at Manus? I think we should be able to get something against Armagh. Like, we're not being completely trounced by him. Right, McManus is an issue. He's too tired. Let's bring on Al Gordon and then swap that with Warwick, because Warwick can play on the right and the left. Al Gordon's one of our few youth prospects from our actual intake who's still sticking around. Not producing much at the moment. Our fullbacks aren't doing that well. Replacing Bath. Brown for Mullahand and Green for Clark. So Green is one we bought last season. He sat in reserves doing nothing, but he was meant to be potentially quite good. That is terrible. Oh, okay, he's offside. If he somehow managed to stay on side and do that, that would have been terrible. In terms of how the match engine's working, I don't think there have been enough highlights or chances for us to really judge it, but I've not seen anything horrible. Cleared. I know there are lots of people losing their minds on the forum because they think the match engine's still terrible, but it's generally been alright. There's one-on-one issues and passing from one flank to the other issues and things like that in the beta, but I've seen many, many worse match engines, previous versions. 1-0. There we go. So I bored you with stats and then bored you with a 1-0 loss. Sure you love this. We're going to carry on. We won't have another match in this episode. We'll probably have maybe do a couple for the next come back once we've hopefully got into the groove with the tactic and we know what we're doing. We're going to carry on with the By the Numbers series. It's just By the Numbers now, not Beta By the Numbers, I guess. Just so I can try out this statistical stuff with the club and see if I can get Belfast Celtic going on. It'll be a good kind of side save as well to the Tahiti stuff. And the Tahiti stuff's not ready to go yet. I've been editing the database basically since just before the full version was released because the old editor was working. And let me test stuff out, and it's looking good. I've already got it so teams can qualify for the French Cup from Tahiti and stuff like that. So it's coming along nicely, but there'll still be a little bit of time until that series is ready to go, maybe a couple of weeks, hopefully no more than that, until it's ready to go, because I'm eager to get into that. I'll just show you what I mentioned about Connor. So Connor Donnelly, our star right back, he does still look good, went to Bangor, who with our team got relegated last season. Doesn't want to come back to us. Jonah McComb's gone as well. I don't think any of these players will want to come back to us if we... They've not long joined them. So yeah, robbed. They're all youth players have been robbed from us. Which I did report as a bug at the time, but we'll see. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. Sorry it's been a bit of a long episode, but it's this, I guess, the start of a new season, and it's not obviously an amazing start. We are only predicted to be 10th again, so you know we'll see how we get on with that. I'll come back and see you for another match soon. Thanks very much.